What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 6 to Beyond the Cove. Worship Pastor Luke, Pastor Heath. Welcome back. We're so glad you're here with us. We have a special podcast today.
Yeah,
Heath, tell us about what we're doing today.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one because we're trying to intersect the podcast, which is getting tons of traction. Luke was just telling me, thousands of people that are listening to this every week already, and we're only 6 episodes in, and so that's awesome. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
But since we have so many people already here, and this is becoming part of our rhythm, we wanted to try to intersect the podcast and our search process because the Sunday after this releases, we'll be presenting a candidate for the role of Preschool Ministries Director to be voted on by the church. And so on February 15th, a few days before this releases, we will announce Krista Entsminger as our candidate for Director of Preschool Ministries, which is pretty exciting. I said in the last podcast, it's been almost 3 years. I mean, we're coming up on our 3rd anniversary here. And the entire time I've been here, we've been searching for a ministry leadership team, either pastor or director. And so I know church life ebbs and flows, but this is going to get us to a full slate.
That's right.
And I'm thankful for that. I know our family ministry team is thankful for that. And so we're going to have an opportunity today to get to hear from her.
Yeah.
I think that's really going to be an exciting way to do this. The weekend of the 22nd, there's going to be some other opportunities for volunteers and for preschool families and the church in general that want to get to meet her or ask her questions. We'll have that schedule up on the church website. And so if you go to fruitcove.com/candidate, you'll be able to see her profile, education, experience, all of the background stuff, but also a schedule of when things are going to happen the weekend of the 22nd. And so we'll announce her name and information on the 15th. We'll vote as a church after the 11 o'clock worship service on the 22nd. And hopefully we'll have a preschool director
Lord
candidate coming. Yeah. I'm really excited about this one because there's every time we've had a search, we ask our staff, check your networks, see if there's anybody in the area that you know that might be a good candidate. And we all do that. And for this one, though, I've asked Pastor Bryan to really be the point person in some of the initial conversations as the family pastor leading this team. He's pretty much the ministry coach for all of our family ministry leaders. And in the process of looking, one of my former students reached out to us. Krista was one of my students and then one of my college students in Kissimmee when I was the next gen pastor in First Kissimmee. And so she was actually reaching out about just ministry life at the church that she's serving at now. And in the conversation, she found out that we were starting to search and eventually sent me her information. I kind of pushed it back because I wanted her to make sure that she was chasing the Lord's will here, and God just continued to move it forward. And so when she reached back out again, I gave her information to Bryan, and the team ran with it from there. And so it's been fun for me to kind of stand on the sidelines and see the process with the different candidates and different interviews, and for her to rise to the top. It's been encouraging to me. We talked about last episode about the need for a Paul and a Timothy.
Yes.
And Krista, in some ways, was one of those Timothys. I know gender, we don't get into that. Hear the heart behind it. Just somebody who had a calling for ministry and was looking for a way to use that in a biblically appropriate way. And I got to come alongside and shepherd that a little bit as a high school student and as a college student. And to now see her, I mean, she's got more degrees than a thermometer, and she's serving in a church and doing it really well. And to have a heart to want to be a part of this team, that's pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, that's great. Is she a Tennessee fan?
I have no idea. I know that she does like orange and blue things, and so
we'll find out.
I can't. Yeah, you'll have to ask. You'll have to ask on there. But because of the way that the search has gone, Bryan has been really instrumental in doing this with our personnel team.
Yeah.
And so she's been fully interviewed and vetted by the personnel team. She did an incognito visit a few weeks ago. So she sat in church with us and visited and walked the halls and saw all the things. That weekend that she was here, our deacon body interviewed her. She got a unanimous affirmation from the deacons. Right. And so now we're at this point, but I wanted her to come on, but I'm going to get out of the way and I'm going to let Bryan join because I think he knows the team. He's going to be leading family ministry. They're going to be working together so much. I think it's going to be really helpful to you guys just have a conversation, and I hope the church gets to learn a little bit more about her and get excited about what God's doing.
It's exciting. All right, we'll go right over to that now. Thank you. Well, welcome back. This is episode 6. We have Dr. Bryan Barano.
I told you not to do that, Luke.
We're so glad you're back. This is part 2 of episode 6, and we have a special guest, and I would like for Bryan to introduce her and kind of give some background.
Hey, everybody. Meet Krista. Krista Entsminger is our candidate for preschool director here at Fruit Cove. As Heath said a little bit ago, she's come for an incognito weekend. She has gotten to meet staff. She may have even seen some of you when she was here, but Krista is currently serving at a church doing preschool and kids ministry in North Carolina, actually not all that far away from where I have previously served in the mountains of North Carolina. And she has got a background of doing preschool and kids ministry. She has earned degrees in ministry from various places. And we are really excited about the opportunity to talk to her today about what excites her about Fruit Cove and what excites her about engaging in preschool ministry with preschoolers, preschool volunteers, and their families.
That's great. That was really good. Okay, now, Krista, now you tell a little bit about yourself. Now that somebody else has told everything about you.
Yeah, well, my name is Krista. I currently serve in ministry. I am a born and raised Central Floridian. So I grew up in Kissimmee, and so I was about 10 minutes from Disney, which means I frequented it not that often, but I have now had the privilege to live in the mountains area. I'm a little bit south of the mountains, but still get to go there often. And I got called to ministry when I was younger, and God has just blessed me with many opportunities to serve throughout my life. And so I'm just excited for what God's calling me to do next and the opportunities that are open to me, and excited for the possibility to come to Fruit Cove.
Krista, talk to us about your call into ministry and what led you to where you are now.
Yeah. So I went to a summer camp when I was younger, when I was in 6th grade, and I really felt like God was calling me to full-time ministry. But obviously at the age of 11, 12, I didn't really know what that looked like. So over the years, I just prayed and saw what it was that God had for me to do. I served in children's ministry. I volunteered in kids ministry. I taught preschool Sunday school. I was serving at a local Christian school for a period of time. Had the opportunity to work as a nanny and did lots of babysitting. And so God really started to show that there was a gifting there and a heart for children and their families. And so when I had an opportunity to lead a ministry in high school, and when COVID hit, that ministry got shut down. And so that time period, God really refined his calling on my life and really opened my eyes to his calling to children and family ministry. And so that's what I ended up pursuing my master's in. And throughout the time there, I really started to research and do a lot of investigating on what my philosophy of ministry would be. And so I really feel like the preschool ministry, the children's ministry, youth, any type of family ministry at a church, we're supposed to be partners for the parents, for the families, coming alongside them, encouraging them in the faith, giving them the resources that they need. Obviously, part of that is teaching the gospel to the kids, teaching the gospels to the parents, providing opportunities to teach parents and help them learn how to disciple their kids. And so I did my my master's thesis on how to equip parents to disciple their kids through children's ministry. And so I really feel that we are supposed to, one, feed into the kids and pour into their lives with the gospel and love them as, the body of Christ, but also partner with parents to help them raise their kids in the way that they should go.
Why Fruit Cove? What was it about Fruit Cove that drew you to is searching out what we as a church are doing and why you chose to look at Fruit Cove?
Yeah, I had been looking into Fruit Cove and saw just the heart that there was for families there. One of the first Sundays that I watched a live stream was a family worship Sunday. And so it was really special to get to see the kids being a part of service and being welcomed and being so involved. I loved the heart for outreach that I saw just based off of the social media presence and stuff that was being put out there, what was being taught from the pulpit. And the heart for missions. I have a huge heart for missions, and that's one thing that I really try to teach through the various ministry opportunities that I've had. And so just the heart that Fruit Cove had for missions was very exciting, and that got me excited to have the opportunity to maybe connect that to the teaching with preschool, because I think it's so important to teach a heart for mission, a heart for outreach, and starting so young. I mean, you can make a difference as a child for missions. You can learn about it. You can foster that heart. You can foster that heart for outreach and sharing the gospel. And so I really loved what was already at work there. And that just got me excited for the opportunities that were available to continue to grow what was already present in those ministries.
So one of the interesting things about preschool ministry that y'all may or may not realize is everything else in family ministry, you have a variety of schools that you can reach out to. So Kidsmen, you've got public, private, elementary schools, you have homeschool families, the same in middle school ministry, high school ministry, college ministry. So all of our other areas of family ministry, we have schools or homeschool families that we can reach out to. However, here in preschool ministry, that's not the case. But Krista and I have talked about why she's excited about Fruit Cove. And so how do you get to engage in outreach in preschool ministry?
Yeah, well, a big thing is the weekday preschool that is present at Fruit Cove. That is a combination, from what I've been told, of church members, but then also people from the community. And so that gives you an opportunity to impact those families, to reach out to those kids, to have a presence and be a part of that. So that's a really unique opportunity. Like Bryan said, there's not a lot of opportunities for you to go out into, preschool as a preschool director, but having it there on campus through the church, that's a really unique opportunity. And that also really excites me with the opportunity to do outreach and impact those families and build relationships there.
Krista, what's a lesson learned or example walking with the family through a difficulty time? Talk us through some things that you've walked through with families over the years.
Obviously, there's lots of things that happen in ministry. There's lots of circumstances that you can walk through with families. One of the joyous things of ministries experience that I've had was being able to walk through an adoption with a family. That was something that they had been in the process of doing for a long time, walking through the sadness that they had at failed attempts of adoption, walking through the sadness that they had with some infertility. And so getting to walk through that whole process with them, the highs, the lows, but then being able to come in at the end and be a part of that celebration when that child was adopted and welcomed home. But then you also have a spectrum in ministry. And on that same day, we also had a funeral for a family of a young toddler who had passed away, and walking through the grief that family had, and being able to support them, and how do we come alongside them in ministry and support them. And sometimes that's just sitting in the sad with them. Sometimes it's providing a meal. Sometimes it's, let's find someone who can watch your other kids for you while you guys process whatever you need to process. But that also, like I said, those two instances happened on the same day. So you can experience a wide variety of circumstances and emotions in ministry, and you have to, regulate your own emotions so that you can be present and serve both families to the best of your ability in those moments.
And I think that brings up another good point, is that even for young staff members at any church that may not have their own children, or may not even be married, so how do those people interact with families and minister to them? But the thing is, every one of our church members, or the majority of our church members that work with kids, probably, whether it's in a public school, a private school, they're a medical professional, whatever that is, those people probably began that ministry and both the highs and the lows of ministering to families in their everyday work, doing that before they had kids, and some of them even before they were married. I was a public school teacher before I became a pastor, and I was doing that as a single guy. Now, I was engaged to Jennifer, but I was not married, and we had not had Henry or Caleb yet. So it's just one of those things where, as those of us that are at the beginning of our ministry journey, the first 4, 5, 6 years in, we can still engage in ministry to families as we walk next to them through the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
So, Krista, let me ask you this. So you got to walk around preschool with me. We did not advertise who you were. Being able to walk through our preschool area, see what was going on a Sunday morning, what are some things that excite you about where we are right now as a preschool ministry at Fruit Cove?
Well, the one thing that really stood out to me is that there really wasn't one classroom that was empty. And that's really exciting because there's a lot of rooms there. So that means that there's a lot of kids. That means there's a lot of families. So I was really excited about that there's such a thriving, healthy preschool ministry. I liked that. It excited me, the amount of volunteers that were there. Obviously, there's always needs in ministry. There's always a spot that needs to be filled, but that there were volunteers who were dedicated, who were going to be there and committed to be there. And I liked seeing that the kids were, they were having a good time. Obviously, we didn't go into the classrooms, but being able to watch from the outside and seeing them being engaged and seeing them being involved and doing the lessons, that was very exciting because it showed that the kids actually wanted to be there. So that means that those volunteers are making an impact and engaging those kids in a way that's really exciting.
That's awesome, Krista. If it was anything like my incognito, people greet you and they're like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a worship pastor." Like, "Oh." And then, "Where are you from?" "Tennessee." "Oh, okay." But man, just that first impression was awesome. And I'm sure you felt the exact same way. I want to go into, and Pastor Heath kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast, but you guys knew each other. So talk to us about that and that whole process.
Some of the other staff wanted us to ask for an embarrassing Heath moment, but I have been told that I am not allowed to do that. So I'm not asking for that. Please don't do that. I like my job.
Yeah. So Pastor Heath was my youth pastor. And so he came to our church when I was finishing my sophomore year of high school. He came when I was starting my sophomore year of high school. And he was a great youth pastor. And I'm not just saying that because this opportunity would mean that he would be my boss. But I'm saying that because he was, he poured into us spiritually. He was fun. He could take a joke, but he could also give a joke. And one thing that has really stuck with me through just that experience of him being my youth pastor is just, he told us very early on a phrase called, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be broken." And he said it so much that we had t-shirts made. And that was one thing that he not only impressed on us by volunteering us or telling us to do things, but he also lived that out in how he led us. We went on a mission trip, the very first trip we ever took with him, and I was voluntold that I was going to lead worship for our opening rally that next morning. And then that next day, that afternoon, we were washing cars, and I was voluntold that we were going to lead worship for the church service at the church plant that night. And, that was us being flexible, but it also was him being flexible because as we were leading worship, the pastor came to him and said, "When they're done, you go up and you preach." And so he had to get his iPad and he scrolled. And so not only did he teach us to be flexible, but he also led by example. And so that's one thing that, as I've been in ministry, has been very helpful, because you do have to be flexible and you do have to roll with those punches. But yeah, he was had a huge impact on, me and lots of other people. And I don't think I would be where I am in my faith or even in ministry if it wasn't for him.
So speaking of flexibility, I'm the one that reached out. Like I said, "Hey, Krista, we have this position. Would love to have a conversation with you." We had a long conversation. You grilled me. And then we had a follow-up conversation where you grilled me even harder, asking questions, which was fun. It's not a problem. I think I answered all of them. I'm fairly certain that I did. But in the midst of all of that, as we're having conversations, you are actually in the midst of having conversations with another church, and even told me up front, "Hey, I'm having conversations. So I'm willing to talk to you once, ask some questions, but I'm not sure where this is going to go." So talk to me about how God showed up flexibly, and you had to be flexible in your life.
Yeah.
In that moment.
So, Pastor Bryan, he called me on a Monday night, and I was supposed to be going to meet with this church that following Saturday. And that Wednesday, I ended up in the hospital having to have an emergency surgery. And so I didn't end up going on that visit. Nope. And that led to a lot of time to be still. Wow. And have to rest and have to have time for God to speak to me. And that led to me asking Bryan for another call, and where I grilled him, like he said. But I ended that call very uncertain and telling him that I didn't really know what God was going to do. And Bryan, he ended the call by saying, "God is going to make it very clear what you're supposed to do, whether that's here, and that's awesome, and we'd love if that's the direction God takes it, or if it's at this other church. We just want you to do what God wants you to do." And I said, "Okay, I'll pray about it, you pray about it, and we'll just see what happens." And that next day, I got a call from the other church saying that something had changed and that they were stopping their hiring processes. And so I called Bryan and I said, you know how you said God was going to give me clarity? I think I just got this answer. And so we decided to move forward in the process, and every step of the way just been seeking God's will. And he's, you know, I had to be flexible and trust that if this was the direction he was going to lead, he was going to make it very clear, just like he had at every other step of the way.
Yep. And I did say that. And I told Jennifer that I said that. And she's like, you know, sometimes you should listen to your own advice. And I'm like, you're right. I probably should. But it's much easier to tell someone else that.
Yeah. Praying that God will make you miserable until you find what his will is.
That's
for you.
Exactly
Yeah,
right. And here's the thing for everybody, like that is a necessity of a life lived following Jesus.
Yeah.
Is where you're just like, God, I don't know what you want me to do, but please help me know what it is.
That's right.
I can always ask, which of the lame Florida teams do you pull for? I can always ask that. And here's why. Here's the great thing about the two of us sitting here is that neither one of us pull for any of those lame Florida college football teams. Neither of us.
I was raised a Florida Gator, and I will be honest, I don't really follow football, but if people ask me, I am a Gator.
That's a safe answer.
I heard that there might have been a story that you taught Pastor Heath's kids to do the chomp or something. I don't know if that was true or not.
Yes, I did. I am guilty of doing that when they were very young. I'm sure he loved that.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. They still ask me to this day. They're like, haven't you picked a team in Florida yet? And I'm like, no. Why would I do that? Why in the world?
That's so funny.
It is funny. So you are moving from the cold, frozen north, possibly, to the Sunshine State. It's where you grew up. Are you excited about the warm weather, of that being a possibility in your future?
I am very excited, especially coming off of a snowstorm about a week ago. We got about 9 inches of snow. And so I am very thankful for the possibility of going where it is warmer and the sun shines, if that is the Lord's will. It definitely comes with its perks, especially being closer to the beach and the sunshine. So it's definitely a pro on the list.
I will tell you, it is the promised land. So it's been good so far.
I have lived about 45 minutes north of where she's living right now. And I never want to drive to the hospital for Jennifer to give birth to one of my children in a foot of snow ever again. Yeah. We had to follow the snowplows.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No.
Hey, Krista, talk to us about your approach to ministry with involving other people on teams and volunteers. What's your take on that? Are you more of a lone wolf or are you a team player? What would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. Where I currently serve, I am the sole person on the team. There's not really a family ministry team. There's not really like a children's ministry team. It's kind of just me, and then I have volunteers that serve under me. But I have obviously served in various different churches over the years through college and when I was in high school. And personally, I love being part of a team. I think that, God has gifted every person with their own unique giftedness, and God has called us to do different things. And so there might be some things that I'm good at that someone else is not so good at. There might be something that I am not so good at that they're good at. And so having those people on a team, you're able to accomplish those things to the best of your ability, and delegate so that you don't end up getting burnt out. That's always a struggle in ministry for a lot of people. And so right now, I am kind of serving as a lone wolf, but my preference is obviously to be able to work on a team and be able to allow people to use the gifts that God has given them to do the things that He has called them to do.
Yeah, we're so one of the things that y'all that the church may not realize is that part of an incognito weekend is when we have prospective staff members come in. They get to sit and meet the rest of the ministry team that they're on. So like Luke got to meet the worship team when he was here. Krista got to meet the family ministry team and actually sit in one of our family ministry team meetings where all of us are together. And so that's part of what the team model looks like here at Fruit Cove, is that, yes, we all have our specific lanes that we swim in, but we're all collaborating together. There are certain events where it's all hands on deck. Like in family world, it's VBS. That's really staff wide. It's all hands on deck. Yeah. But it's one of those great things, and it's part of the reason that I feel like Krista is assuming that everything goes well, that she's going to do a great job, is she gets the idea of why we have a team model here.
Krista, is there anything else that we haven't asked you or left out that you just want the church body to know about you, or as a preschool director? What would you say, kind of as your closing?
I would say that I am excited for all that God is going to do in the ministry, the preschool ministry at Fruit Cove. And I'm excited for what He's going to do through the entire family ministry, through the church in general. And I'm just looking forward and praying for God's will as He continues to walk through this process with me, with Fruit Cove as a church. And that His will would be done on both ends, and that if His will is for me to come and serve there, that, I'm just excited to be a part of it, to learn more about what's already at work there, and to see the ways that God is going to grow the ministry and work in the lives of the families there.
So if you want more information about Krista and about what View of a Call weekend looks like on the weekend of Sunday the 22nd, we want to invite you to go to fruitcove.com/candidate, and her profile information will be there, as well as the schedule of events when we're going to be doing voting and meet and greets and that kind of thing. So we want to encourage you to go and look at that. We'll be making announcements in church, but all of that information will live at the candidate page. So fruitcove.com/candidate.
Great. We'll put that in the description of the video and the podcast here. Krista, thank you so much for calling in. I know that this is an exciting time. We'll be praying for you. The church body will be praying, and we're just hoping that the Lord's will be done, and we're excited. So thank you. Thank you for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
We will see you later.
Bryan, you look good in those headphones.
Thanks, man.
Forgot to tell you that earlier.
It just looks so great when you have no hair on your head to be wearing headphones.
Oh, man. Thanks for joining us again. This is episode 6, special episode. We're glad you joined us. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Tell them bye, Bryan.
See you later.
All right. Good job.
My ears are hot.